Hello out there in podcast land. Welcome to some people you haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, we haven't been on the air in quite some time.
That's true.
But we are the 240p Club, in case you guys forgot. We've been busy with some real-life stuff, but we're getting back into the swing of things now.
Yeah, we had a really busy January where we renamed our chat group the 240p Club Pomeranian Club, and just posted gifs of Pomeranians every morning.
Yeah, because I had a dream that Nikki was chasing a Pomeranian every place.
The fact that you had me in your dream is kind of scary.
Was she holding a hatchet?
Exactly.
Because that's how I see Nikki in someone's dream, holding a hatchet and chasing someone.
Please don't have dreams about me.
Yeah, because she will be holding a hatchet or a katana or some other miscellaneous weapon.
Wait, I think later on in the dream she was brandishing a hockey stick.
Oh, so there you go.
The fact that you're dreaming about me. Why are you people dreaming about me?
Because you light up our life.
Oh God, your life must be really sad if that's true.
Light up our life one hack and slash at a time.
Yay!
This is Homicidal Nikki next to me.
Yay! Hi!
I'm Metallic Joe, and we have in the corner here Ray, who's just in a food coma right now because he chowed down on some Super Mario cereal.
Yep, so call me Reclining Ray for this podcast.
You're Reclining Ray. Ray, what'd you think of that cereal anyway?
Kind of gross, honestly.
Didn't like it. You know what? It had a weird berry taste to it. I know it's supposed to be berry, but it was just weird. I'm a weirdo, so I don't eat milk with my cereal, which is I found it strange. I only met like maybe a few other people that don't enjoy cereal and milk. I enjoy milk. I enjoy cereal. I don't enjoy them at the same time.
I don't enjoy milk. I don't enjoy milk alone or with cereal.
Yeah, it makes you fart.
It makes everyone fart.
Yeah.
Don't tell people that. Well, everyone knows.
Surprisingly,
girls fart.
Yes, they certainly do.
Surprisingly, there's some people who enjoy putting beer in their cereal, but count me out of that crowd.
I'm just lactose intolerant.
I've only seen someone put beer in their cereal once. That's usually the sign that you may possibly sort of kind of be an alcoholic. Or you just enjoy the taste of beer. Who knows? I don't question it. As long as you're not harming anyone. Hey, a little bit of beer in your cereal to get you going through the day. So be it. But don't put it in that Mario cereal, because that's going to taste nasty.
It's going to taste like Wario got your...
Yeah, Wario basically took over your castle.
Woo!
Alright, so we have been gone for quite some time. We've been busy with, outside stuff, school, work, various medical problems.
Taekwondo.
Yeah.
I'm a yellow belt.
Nikki is Taekwondo, and she's kicking ass. I have a shitty back, and I'm laying on my ass.
Of course, I went to MagFest again a couple weeks ago, which was always a fun time.
Yeah, I wound up at MagFest, and I just enjoyed that.
I'd rank it probably the second best one I've been to. Last year was probably way better in my opinion, but...
Has it gotten a little commercial, mainstream, or has it just been, it's been fun, or...
I mean, they've kind of been expanding into different territories, so...
For someone like us who are mainly exclusively into retro gaming, what does MagFest hold for us?
There are plenty of retro gaming related tournaments, merchants, a lot of homebrew games being sold, a lot of new games in development for Steam on display in a whole section.
Oh, that's cool.
A whole huge arcade full of arcade games, old and new, pinball games.
That sounds like a rocking good time.
Yeah, it is very fun.
One of these days we'll make our way out there. It's been a little rough with finances and stuff, so, one of these years we will make a full-on appearance at MagFest.
Once I no longer have financial commitments to school, which is never.
Yeah. When they have you for student loans, they have you for life.
Oh God. Yeah.
I'm in my 30s, still paying student loans, so don't feel bad. That's a common thing with our generation.
That's true. But it will be okay.
Everything will be okay.
Worst comes to worst, I'll just go to my kids.
Who are your kids?
I don't have any yet.
Better get on that, girl. If you want anyone to actually put you into a nursing home when you need it.
I'll just go adopt.
Alright, there you go. You're adopting kids of the four-legged variety.
Yes.
Yes. We're not going to get
It's
into
just me and Punky. That's all I need. It's me and my cat.
Aww.
She's not really my cat, but she's my cat. She's your cat.
Yeah, she's yours. She picked you. She's your cat.
Yeah, she's my cat.
It's confirmed.
Yeah.
Alright, we have a little bit to cover today as far as retro gaming goes. Ray, what is our topic today? Because I completely forgot.
Yeah, we actually had some very recent news a couple days ago. One of the original world record holders of video gaming, Todd Rogers, who had an alleged score of 5.51 seconds in Dragster. This score was recently found to be impossible to pull off, and apparently Todd Rogers has been a pathological cheater, as a couple other of his scores have also been found impossible. So,
wow. So basically, our childhood record chasing has been a lie.
Well, some of it. I mean, he still claims that he's been officially recognized by Activision.
See, here's the thing with something like that, though. It is so hard to record some of these scores back in the day. As a kid, I did a few art projects, including scrapbooking, and I was, as an 8-year-old, I was obsessed with Nintendo. To the point where, I had a couple Nintendo strategy guides, and I wanted to put together my own Nintendo strategy guide. So I got a photo album from my sister, which she wasn't using, so she happily gave it to me. So it's a big white book, said photos on it, and one side of it, I took some loose leaf paper and wrote down in pencil a bunch of codes for various Mega Man games. I think I had a punch out page, etc., etc. And then on the other side, I was going to put images, just take pictures of my achievements, while I was playing these games. Of course, since I'm doing this solo, what this involved was basically I start the game, just take a quick picture, pause it, Unfortunately, since as an 8-year-old back in the day, kids these days used to getting instant pictures. My sister was not lending me her expensive Polaroid camera, so I had to do it the old-fashioned way: take pictures, take it down to the photo mat once the film was done, get it developed, and take a look at the pictures once they got developed. Unfortunately, my pictures wound up very blurry because I didn't know at the time you need to not take pictures with a flash if you're going to take it on a CRT TV. I just thought because, I've seen the pictures of Nintendo Power, etc., where they have all the game images, you thought that was going to be easy, but unfortunately, no, it was definitely not easy. And yeah, I imagine in the Atari era, it was just as difficult taking some pictures of some of these achievements because, that high score will be gone in a minute unless you have the camera rigged and ready to go.
Yeah, of course it is much easier to get footage and records of these games now than it was back then, but even back then, with photography and stuff, and with VCRs being a thing, it was still possible. The problem is, the score was allegedly only seen by a referee, and even though Todd does claim he has proof somewhere, we still have yet to see any concrete evidence that the score was ever a thing.
So it could be the proof was either lost, or it could be it just never happened. So while they're still investigating that, I'm assuming, he's been stricken from the record books temporarily until they can permanently remove him. I know some of the Guinness World Records books, they've removed his name too. I think they were talking about in the one article I've read.
Mm-hmm. This was very recent.
Yeah, I know Pat the NAS Punk was talking about it too, but I didn't get a chance to listen to that podcast yet, so I know this definitely had a ripple effect, because a big part of the retro gaming culture these days is the keep a record, speed running, world record attempts, and thanks to our current technology, all of this is readily able to be documented, verified. People can look online, try to duplicate, using a trainer of some sort of program. Also, with people's knowledge of coding, you can figure out if something in the game is legitly possible, or if, it's possible through a glitch undiscovered, and if so, what's the glitch? Can you duplicate the glitch? And what does it look like, So we don't run into this too much these days, but in the 1970s and 80s, when these games were coming out, it was a lot more difficult to verify all this. So, yeah, that's the big news. Todd Rogers, either disgraced hero or temporarily on the back burner while we investigate his claims. So, we'll obviously be posting more about that if we get any more details on our website, 240pclub.com. Cheap plug. Twitter at 240pclub, Facebook /240pclub, etc. All our wonderful accounts. Maybe we'll play our own Dragster on Twitch sometime, although I seriously doubt it, because that's one game I never owned for the Atari, so I just look like a fool trying to learn that these days. Anyway, speaking of content like this, one of the best parts about some of these old games is being able to make some of this content.
Yeah, and in some more recent news, Nintendo recently announced something called Labo for their Switch, which is like... I didn't look too deep into it.
It looks like a cardboard box cutout. And what does this thing do? Does it allow you to cosplay some of this stuff while you're playing the Switch, or?
I don't know. I think it's like a virtual cardboard or something. I didn't read too deep into it.
Okay, because I can picture, like a cheap cardboard thing. Basically, for a couple bucks, you put your Switch controller into it, and then, it's basically like you have the Wii. You're swinging around your controller, bam, you're swinging the sword. They already have that technology, but it's cooler when you do it with an actual full-size, cardboard cutout version of whatever you're swinging. So anyway, that, from what I'm understanding, that is encouraging people to go out and create your own content. Which saved the Wii U, because the Wii U is one of these systems that no one wanted, no one really cared about, until, of course, Super Mario Maker came out, which was immensely popular because it allowed all of these Einsteins without a knowledge of coding to design your own Mario game. You can design your own Mario game, just design a simple level, whatever you want to do.
And the levels were definitely chaotic.
Oh, yes. Although Nintendo did, from what I hear, they did a smart thing. Basically, you have to post a video of you beating your own level in order to post it, or else, it gets deleted. Yeah, because they don't want anything that's impossible. They don't care about ridiculously challenging, but possible. They want all the impossible levels, the ones designed just to make people cry, gone from the record. If you can't beat your own creation, then, why are you creating it? Or someone else. I mean, you could have a video of someone else beating it. There's no law against that, Of
course, that didn't stop people like Panga from actually managing to upload these insanely difficult levels anyway, even though it took him 5 or 6 hours to beat each one of his own levels or something.
Yeah, that was just ridiculous.
I think I remember seeing some of those.
See, I'm all for a challenging game, but I no longer have the time to sit down and conquer something like that. This impossible Mario level. And even you get just a little farther every day trying to figure it out, you get another challenge that just makes you throw the controller. You're like, I can't do it anymore. So, I'm just in the minority, because there's some people that have mastered Mario to such a degree where, they could do pinpoint maneuvers in seconds. People have designed YouTube clips of some of the most ridiculous Mario levels ever, and them actually playing through and legitly beating it using glitches, tricks, or whatever else they could.
Of course, this definitely isn't the first kind of game like this.
Not at all.
It's... games that allow you to create your own content have been a thing since, almost since video games have existed, even though they were kind of a rare breed back in the Atari days. I know there was something I know there was a game for the Tandy or something back in the day called Pinball Construction Kit, which I only just recently learned people are actually still using, even though it's probably a small community. Didn't look too deep into that. Like, what is the first game that allows you to have custom content that actually like had a really huge like community dedicated to this stuff? The earliest I can remember is the original Doom.
Doom is the one game I could remember people making their own levels for. I honestly can't think of anything farther back. I probably could with some research, but there was the original Excite Bike for the NES had a level create system. It was pretty limited, but it was fun. You get to design your own course.
There was also ZZT for the PC, the first game released by Epic, I believe. It was a text mode game creation system with its own object-oriented programming language, and it did have a community like on Prodigy initially, and later on America Online and CompuServe and all those. But yeah, it was a relatively small community compared to some of these other games.
Yeah, that was the thing. PC gaming in the 80s and 90s was limited a bit to elite few people because, again, PCs were not exactly commonplace as they were today. But, a lot of people did have PCs, so it was also a whole lot easier to design some sort of content, be able to put it onto a floppy disk and give it to somebody, so they could copy your content, to spread around, than it was, say, building something for Excite Bike and basically just having to write down the code of the level or, like, filming it. Or, just basically step-by-step directions. Because the save feature didn't work in that game. Nintendo never put batteries on it, the cart, so... you could click save all you want, it'll just lock up the game and never work. But, we have... the other thing I could think of for NES, Tiny Toons had a... they released a couple games, actually, for the NES. They released a pretty good platformer. They released a sequel to a platformer, and at the very same time they're releasing that, they released Buster's Hidden Treasure for the Sega Genesis, and a game called Create Your Own Toon Workshop for the NES, which is basically you could create your own cartoons using the 8-bit sprites and graphics from the Tiny Toon characters, and it had no way of saving it. However, if you really were proud of your work, you can hook it up to a VCR, hit record on a tape, and, basically you, as an 8-year-old, you have your own, or 6-year-old, or however old you were, 10-year-olds, even like a 20-year-old watching Tiny Toons, because it was that good of a show. But, you create your own cartoon, you're like, hey, look at what I did. It was very limited. You couldn't type in stuff. It had predetermined responses, predetermined text dialogue, etc., etc., etc. But it was a good design program.
And then later on, Mario Paint came out, and I guess that sort of obsoleted it.
Mario Paint was one of the best things they could have came out with for the Super Nintendo. The only problem is you couldn't save a whole lot of things, but... yeah, they had level creation, create your own cartoon. If anyone remembers the Strong Bad emails and HomestarRunner.com, which is still online, so these guys are still making cartoons. That was one of the very first web cartoons ever out there. Came out in the early 90s. It was made first episode in Mario Paint, so. And people figured out how to make these look really neat. So, and basically, you could mix it to music. And if you had the video of yourself making something in Mario Paint, you could put it through an editing program. Say you have access to an editing studio back in the 90s. You could throw something together, and bam, you have yourself a legit creation that you could. Nintendo would be actually proud to display on their website. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there was a lot of creation stuff. I remember, actually, the first one that I really got into as far as the community was Warcraft 2. Warcraft 2 is a great game. Warcraft 2 is one of the most legendary real-time strategy games. It was also one of the most legendary multiplayer games, and single-player as well. The campaign was pretty good. I just think Command and Conquer kind of dwarfed it a bit, but it had their own very easy to use in Windows 95 level creator called Map Editor. The files had the extension pud.pud, and you could go on many various websites, because these were small enough to upload to the internet. You could download other people's levels. Usually they came as a zip file with a README attached to it, or you could download the campaign, like some people designed create completely custom campaign, made the game harder, made the game more interesting, changed a few things around here and there. That was my first memory of level creation content as being so accessible that it thrived in the community and extended the life of this game for years.
It's definitely what a lot of people are getting into now, creating your own levels. And
yeah, after Warcraft 2, that basically just expanded everything. One of my friends designed his own StarCraft campaign. That was another big map editor, the original StarCraft. This is probably the most legendary real-time strategy game of all time. That and the sequel, of course. Blizzard made bank off this game, and honestly, not to change the topic too much, but StarCraft was one of the first competition games that I can remember, which drew crowds to people competing in tournaments.
And they still are, I believe.
Yeah, and now StarCraft 2 is one of the major games in the esport genre, aside from Rocket League right now and a few other games. But yeah, no, creation, user content, all fantastic ideas. Some games had storylines to the point where people wrote fan fiction. I'm saying that cringeworthy because some of this shit was cringeworthy.
That's where Rule 34 came from.
What's Rule 34?
Whatever exists, there's porn of it. Better believe there is everything from Kirby to the NHL.
I believe that. Mm-hmm. Oh, God.
Yeah.
And the internet, I remember user groups, Usenets and stuff like that, having half this content. I didn't know what the fuck people were doing on the internet, posting this shit. Mind you, this is 1996. I'm a web newbie at the time. And I'm reading fanfic on Warcraft 2 about Lothar getting it on with one of the orcs. And I'm just who wrote this shit? Are you depraved?
I remember my first time finding fanfiction.
And what do they call that? Slashdot or something like that?
I don't remember. It was about Dragon Ball Z.
Please don't go on.
I honestly don't remember the characters involved.
Okay.
It wasn't yaoi, though.
Okay. Was it messy? Let's just put it that way. Was it really messy?
No.
Okay.
It wasn't messy. Until I realized that Pan was only 13 and Trunks was 27.
Ooh.
And which reminds me now, I just remembered who the characters involved were. Because apparently back in Dragon Ball GT, they were paired very often, despite the fact that she was 13 and Goku's granddaughter. And, yeah.
Wow.
Moving on.
Alright, yeah, we'll move on from there. Not talk
we
about...
even mentioned RPG Maker.
Oh, no, we have not. Ray, have you ever did anything with RPG Maker?
I have a little with RPG Maker 2000. Much like ZZT, I believe it has its own programming language and all, which is actually a little hard to find if I remember. It's definitely usable. It's just kind of buried in there. Yeah, but you can create spells, equipment, and everything, and enemies using their system that they already threw together, or you can, if you're a really advanced user, go into that programming language and everything.
I've seen, I have RPG Maker MV, which I think was the last one they put out. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Steam sale. I got it for deep discounted. I was happy to get that, but I wound up having no time to devote to it, so I felt bad. But I do remember the one for the PlayStation 1. I bought it used. I seen it for $17 in this one store in the Gallery Mall in Philadelphia, which has been since knocked down. and they're completely redoing. But there was this lonely video game store, like in the basement of this friggin' mall, like closer towards, like it basically didn't get too much foot traffic, which hence why it didn't last too long. But it was a nice video game store. He found some steals in there. I walked in, I found RPG Maker for $17. Could not beat that. $17.
Especially for a PlayStation 1 game.
Yeah, and here's the funny part about that. Me and one of my really close friends were joking about designing an RPG based on all the heavy metal news coming out at the time. This is like 2003-ish. So we were joking, like, you know, because half these people in the heavy metal community are just big total nerds. It's so funny. But we designed a RPG based on the heavy metal community. Had some funny characters that had no business being together, because we span multiple genres of the music. And basically wrote some goofball story. Mind you, half of this was composed while completely intoxicated. Many, many beers were consumed during the course of this. But we would just hang out like every Friday night or Saturday night or so. And, you know, get a bunch of beers in, sit down, basically blast metal, and do some nerdy stuff. Like we played through a bunch of NES games and stuff. Mind you, this is 2003, so... You know, basically we didn't have an NES Classic or whatever. So we were just blasting it through the old school system, etc., etc. I know I'm getting very long-winded, but one of the things we did was hook up a PlayStation 1 and start designing shit for this game. You know what? It turned out awesome. I carried it over to PlayStation 2, and we basically knocked out the bulk of the first part of this RPG using RPG Maker. It took a while to learn the language because, you know, certain commands were a little bit mistranslated, so it was really goofy. But I wound up like making a scenario. I was so proud of myself for doing this. There's a mini game you have to figure out. One of the characters is a mailman, and he is pissed drunk at a pub. So basically, you have to take over his mail route to get him to help you. So we wound up, the streets were laid out in a grid, you know, A, B, C, you know 1 through 9, whatever. Basically, during this event, it triggered a response, like you go up to every door. Now, mind you, I did not know RPGs are disinvolved, like, you know, as far as coding goes, and error testing, etc., etc. This took me an entire night to do. I think like 6 a.m. We finally finished it, conquered it. Many beers were long consumed and gone. I was still surprisingly lucid, even though I've been drinking all night. But we finally figured this thing out. We finally error tested it, because basically you have to put something into every doorway, just so you don't have that player just going around hitting the A button or the square button or whatever at every door until the puzzle's figured out. You had to literally use your brain in order to figure it out and get hints and stuff. Yes, I created a mini game in RPG Maker. I was so proud of myself. I was like celebrating after we got that to work. My friend contributed some of the dialogue and some of the ideas for most of this. That was one of the most fun user content things I ever did. Actually, to wrap up the story, I still have this game somewhere. They came out with an accessory where you could hook up a memory card to your PC and copy all the data onto your PC. So that was how you downloaded content, because you didn't just have a thing where you could basically hook up your memory card unless you had to track it down on eBay. So one eBay purchase later, I had this thing, and it's hooked up to a serial port, which doesn't even exist on most modern PCs anymore. We got it to work. We spread the RPG. It really got nowhere except some of our friends who thought it was awesome. But you know what? I could open up my laptop right now and still track it down because it still works. I was very proud of this thing, and I'm still proud to this day. Like, you know, if it comes up to like as a what if, you know, hey, 15 years ago I got really drunk in my friend's basement and we designed an RPG.
That's awesome. Definitely great. But yeah, going back to talk about user content, this actually reminded me of when I used to create Mugen games.
Oh, yeah.
Those were fun. It was like the ultimate clash of any franchise character against any other franchise characters. You could have
Goku and Superman?
Yeah, you could have Goku and Superman. You could have Ronald McDonald and Peter Griffin. You could have Sailor Moon and Mega Man. At least it was just really cool. And going back to what Joe was saying about coding and everything, yeah, I had to learn about coding myself, and I followed every website, followed how to do it. When I finally got the characters to show up on screen, to put the custom music in, to put all the stages and everything together, I was very, very proud of myself.
Yeah, that's the thing. Not to interrupt.
No, go on.
You could research all you want, but really, I don't know. Just me personally, I learned most of this shit just by doing it instead of researching, because I could research, I could kind of get the gist of everything, I could follow into directions. I'll start to grasp it once I just, experiment outside, like a walkthrough,
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you really, it's something you have to learn, almost on your own, trial and error, always trial and error.
See, this is the problem. This is why I never got into RPG Maker, the latest one, MV, because I don't really have the time. I'll have a day off, but I don't have all day to really dedicate to sitting in front of it, following along with a walkthrough, and then, with something like that, you could also design your own custom graphics. And if I have an idea for an RPG, I want it completely customized, so, I put myself, way over my head with that, and instead of thinking basic first and then learning the basic stuff and then branching out, but you know what? That's okay. One of these days, I will tackle a pretty good RPG. Speaking of, I've been playing a lot of the Phantasy Star games again, just to prep, because Phantasy Star 1 is turning 30 this year. I think it actually already did turn 30 in Japan, but the US release is turning 30. So I've been playing through that and just searching the various resources they have for Phantasy Star. I came across a user-created Phantasy Star 4 game, sequel, actually. It was it's just to take place a year later, and I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet. I will eventually. The game's an incomplete mode. It's a free download. Person designed it through RPG Maker. And it's stuff like that I would love to sit down and try to tackle, Actually, I think there's a composer online designing a prequel to Final Fantasy VI.
Oh.
Using the graphics and everything, and basically you have to be a patron in order to play it, I think, at this point. So I haven't gotten a chance to play it because I do like to support the community of gamers and people designing this stuff. Fortunately, my wallet does not like this too much, so...
No, my wallet hates everything that I try to do.
So, fortunately, I'm stuck doing the cheap way and just, following along with the project, and, I'll give you some sort of monetary donation as soon as I'm able to. It's the same thing, actually. Someone's making a Mega Man Maker, which I've been following a lot on Twitter, and... Yeah, you can design your own Mega Man levels, 8-bit style, and you can design your own game if you want. It's still in the beta stages, so it'll be a while. Someone also made a Legend of Zelda maker, a dungeon maker. Nintendo kind of sent them a cease and desist, so they took all the coding and basically all they did was change a lot of sprites around and remove some of the copyrighted content. So we may see a Zelda-like maker. They could even call it a Newtopia maker because, let's face it, Newtopia and Newtopia 2 are just like Zelda. Mm-hmm. If anyone's ever played them for the PC Engine.
I do remember playing a game called 3D Dot Hero for the PlayStation 3. It's going a little bit past retro, but it was kind of based on 8-bits.
Why not?
Yeah, it was a cute game, but I couldn't get the hang of creating and designing, and I'm not computer savvy at all.
Yeah, it takes, again, patience. You have to research a lot how to do this stuff, and, there's a lot of experimentation, even if you're stealing other people's codes for a while until you learn how they did it, and then you can do your own. That's how I taught myself HTML. Mm-hmm. I stole other people's codes. I feel bad about it. I didn't really publish anything on that, except for, just to myself. And then, I slowly learned basic coding, in HTML, and of course, once I started getting really good at HTML, they changed the language on me.
Yeah, they caught on to what you were doing.
Yeah, they completely changed it up, so now I have a base knowledge of HTML and know where to use it. Except the occasional message board post. I feel proud of myself. I could do strike-through content. Yes.
Oh, there you go.
So I could be as sarcastic as I want to be and not get flamed for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that will only get you so far on these forums.
That is true.
Just don't take it to GameFAQs.
No, I don't really. I did a walkthrough for GameFAQs, but I don't post there regularly.
No.
Funny thing about, I'm going to completely change the topic now. So we were sitting here, right before we started recording, we were watching a hockey game. And so that made us, think of NHL 94. And yesterday we just read a story. Sad fact of life, the very last player still playing in the NHL from the NHL 94 game has just left the NHL for good. Jaromir Jagr, we salute you. I'm a Flyers fan. You were a Flyer killer for years, so you joined this one season and made everyone around you better. Yeah, he's gone. He went to the Czech Republic to finish out his playing career. Jaromir Jagr, we salute you, second all-time in points behind Wayne Gretzky, and one of the best NHLers ever. This is not... Yes, thank you. It does get a round of applause.
A round of applause.
It's not an NHL blog. This is a retro video gaming blog, but the last player in NHL 94 is now gone. Speaking of NHL 94, I got invited to an NHL 94 tournament in Canada. I do appreciate the invite, people, but unfortunately Saskatoon's a little far from where I live. Good luck to you guys, though.
Have lots of fun.
Have lots of fun and shoot a moose.
And kill each other.
No, don't
kill each other.
Kill each other.
I'm just homicidal Nikki, that's all.
Yeah, she's homicidal Nikki.
Woo!
And we're here to tell you, yep, it's all okay.
Yep. It's all good. Please don't kill each
other.
It's
all okay. Please don't kill each other. Please don't eat detergent pods.
No, please don't do that.
I don't think any of our listeners are that dumb. Honestly, this is a generational thing. Everyone blames the millennials. You know what? It's the kids of Gen X eating the detergent pods right now. All these kids from all this cool generation, that everyone holds dear. Nah, their kids are idiots. They're eating detergent pods, even though it says on the box, do not eat.
Mm-hmm. And as much as they look good, they really don't. Just go to a dollar store and get yourself a bag of gummy worms.
Yes, that works a lot better. Or, if you're of legal age, they are making cocktails that look like these things now, that obviously are a whole lot safer than eating a detergent pod. Also donuts. They have donuts that look like these. They look yummy, and I'm so jealous that we do not have one of these specialty donut places around here making them. I have to travel to New York one day and track down a specialty donut shop and pay $6.99 for a donut that's going to be gone in 2 seconds, but I'm going to be happy because I'm eating a detergent pod donuts.
Yeah, maybe that sounds like a little road trip we need to take.
Yeah, well, I've been meaning to visit the Nintendo store anyway. Mm-hmm. So, that'll be a good side trek.
Now that you are a proud owner of a Switch.
Yeah, I got a Switch today. Don't ask me how it is because I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet. Mm-hmm. However, it looks really cool. It fits in your hands, and I know I'm going to have a lot of fun with the system. Of course, as a retro gamer, I am looking for the stuff that's retroly designed, like some of the old games I don't really need because I have a working PSP that plays some of these games. I've since bought them a couple times for consoles, virtual consoles, etc. So, I love these games. I have them portable already. What's the other thing I needed to bring up? Because I'm just going from topic to topic here. Oh yeah, when I was going to buy stuff for the Switch, when I was in Best Buy, not to plug them, because Target had it too, and some of these other big stores, but they had actual copies of the SNES Classic, or the SNES Classic, as you folks say in jolly old England and Australia.
Cheerio.
Yes, yeah.
Cheerio.
Yes, so apparently they are not hard to find anymore. They had many copies of this, not just like the one lonely box somewhere. They had about 5 or 6 of these systems locked up, obviously under lock and key. So Nintendo promised and is actually delivering on restocking these consoles to the point where people don't have to pay ridiculous fees on eBay to get a system that may or may not be legit.
Maybe they heard us complaining about it and Nintendo said...
I think they did.
I don't think we screamed loud enough.
Yeah, I think we complained enough.
I think we have.
Yes.
I believe we did.
So, that is super news. I don't think we have anything else to cover tonight. We covered Todd Rogers, we covered user-created content. Oh yeah, the greatest user-created content of all. We're making a podcast on all the stuff we thoroughly enjoy about video games.
Woo!
So, I guess one of the best user contents you could ever create.
Our happiness.
Yes. So, we're going to wrap it up here. I plugged the sites earlier. I'm going to plug them again because why not? I am a promotions whore. 240pclub.com, facebook.com/240pclub, 240pclub at Twitter. Our Twitch is 240pclub, hardly unused at the moment. We will take care of that eventually. Also, we have a YouTube channel at 240pclub. Go there, check out our videos while you still can, because YouTube apparently is a sinking ship according to a lot of content creators. I don't want to get into that. All I know is I haven't seen a dime from YouTube. I don't intend to see a dime from YouTube because YouTube is basically we're using copyrighted content and we're playing through some copyrighted content. So you're hearing all the sounds and everything. So I don't care. I don't want to make money off other people's creations. I just, anyone that is attempting to make money off YouTube is having a horrible time due to flagging, basically flagging contents, which sucks. But, I will let some people that have way more experience with that chat about that than, us just ranting and raving after a gaming podcast. So, anyway, from all of us at the 240p Club, I'm Metallic Joe.
I'm Homicidal Nikki.
I'm no longer Reclining Ray.
Yeah, Ray's sitting up now. So, we'll see you next time. Happy gaming, and please don't kill anyone or
Please don't kill anyone.
or eat Detergent Pods.
Bye.